Magandang araw mga kababayan. This is Dante Klink Ang II, Chairperson of the Commission on Filipinos Overseas. The CFO is the government agency that helps Filipino immigrants prepare for a successful life overseas. Unlike other migrant-focused agencies, the CFO plays a unique role in strengthening the economic, cultural, and political ties between Filipinos overseas and the Philippines. Even before our kababayan leave for foreign lands, CFO equips immigrants with information and helps them easily integrate into their destination countries and prepares them to become successful ambassadors of Filipino culture and excellence. For us at the Commission on Filipinos Overseas, the global Filipino diaspora is an untapped resource beyond remittances, waiting to be unlocked for intellectual, cultural, and national growth. As we strengthen a fabric that connects the global Filipino community through various programs and initiatives, we transform the challenges of brain drain into opportunities of brain gain. The CFO seeks to nurture the strong sense of Filipino community across the globe, while also encouraging them to contribute to the nation's development. We thank Radyo Pilipinas for giving us this platform to the challenges and triumphs of migration and development. We hope that the global Pinoy will be made aware of the programs and services that empower them toward meaningful migration and pave the way to immigrant success. Tandaan kabayan, para sa inyo ito, mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Narito na ang programang mag-uugnay sa mga Pilipinong naninirahan sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Serbisyong CFO sa Bagong Pilipinas. Serbisyong hatid ng Commission on Filipino Overseas at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Ang programang magtatampok sa mga proyekto at serbisyo publiko upang mapalakas ang ugnayan ng milyong-milyong Pilipino sa kanilang bansang pinagmulan. Serbisyong CFO sa Bagong Pilipinas. Dito sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Tinig ng bayan, lakas ng katotohanan.
Himpapawid na may layuning paglingkuran ang mamamayan.
Sa bawat kwento may diwa ng serbisyo.
Sa bawat balita may puso at paninindigan. Ito ang
Serbisyong CFO sa Bagong Pilipinas. Magandang araw Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao.
magandang araw sa lahat ng Pilipino saan mang panig ng mundo.
Ito ang tambalang
JK Magracia
at RK Peralta. Kayo po ay nakikinig sa serbisyong CFO sa Bagong Pilipinas, handog po ng Commission on Filipinos Overseas at ng Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Ngayon ay Martes, ika-16 ng Setyembre, taong kasalukuyan. Magtungo po tayo sa mga balita na may kinalaman sa ating mga overseas Pinoys.
Nandito na ang mga mahahalagang balita at anunsyo mula sa Commission on Filipinos Overseas. Balitang CFO. Balitang CFO. Dito lamang sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Haribon Foundation urges doubling of PH forest cover in Chairman's Report season finale.
CFO Comelec Inc. MOA to open Overseas Voter Registration Center.
U.S. Ambassador Carlson highlights stronger U.S.-PH partnership at Friends, Partners, Allies reception.
CFO trains Bicol LGUs on eGov-compliant Balingbayan websites.
Nandito na ang mga mahahalagang balita at anunsyo mula sa Commission on Filipinos Overseas. Balitang CFO. Balitang CFO. Dito lamang sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
The Philippines must double its forest cover if it is to withstand stronger floods and weather disturbances brought by climate change. This was the assessment shared by Haribon Foundation's Head of Strategic Partnership, Erica Bergara, in the season finale of the Chairman's Report, a public affairs program hosted by the Commission on Filipinos Overseas. The episode aired on September 12, 2025, underscored how reforestation, mangrove restoration, and biodiversity protection can serve as cost-effective and sustainable alternatives to man-made flood control projects. Bergara explained that the country currently has only 24% forest cover when it actually needs 54%. She pointed to Haribon's decade-long restoration work in Quezon Province, which transformed landslide-prone areas and mountainsides into safer and more resilient ecosystems. CFO Chairperson Dante Klink Ang II, who hosts the program, stressed the urgency of integrating nature-based solutions in disaster mitigation strategies. He noted that mangrove planting could provide longer-lasting protection compared to building concrete seawalls. Vergara supported this point, saying that mangroves not only serve as natural coastal barriers but also sustain livelihoods, making them both an environmental and economic investment. The discussion also highlighted the Philippines' status as one of only 17 megadiverse countries in the world. Vergara emphasized that the country's land and water hosts unique species of wildlife, trees, and corals found nowhere else. Ang added that many Filipinos may be unaware of the immense natural wealth they are sitting on, leading to missed opportunities for conservation and appreciation. To address these challenges, Haribon and the CFO have partnered to strengthen diaspora engagement in biodiversity initiatives. Through CFO's Lingkod sa Kapwa Pilipino program, the collaboration seeks to mobilize overseas Filipinos in promoting biodiversity protection and building climate-resilient communities.
In other news, the Commission on Filipinos Overseas and the Commission on Elections sealed a new Memorandum of Agreement at the Chairman's Hall, Palacio del Gobernador, Intramuros, Manila, to establish a local field registration center to overseas voters. The initiative aims to ensure that Filipinos abroad have accessible and reliable means to register and participate in the 2028 national and local elections. The signing marks the continuation of a long-standing partnership between the CFO and COMELEC, dating back to the implementation of the Overseas Voting Act, with both agencies reaffirming their shared commitment to strengthen democratic participation among Filipinos worldwide. The COMELEC CFO Registration Center is set to operate at the CFO main office from December 1, 2025 until September 30, 2027. It will accommodate overseas Filipinos transacting with CFO, making registration more convenient and integrated with frontline services. In his message, CFO Secretary Dante Clink Ang II highlighted the agency's role as a bridge between overseas Filipinos and the nation. He stressed that every vote counts. And by ensuring that overseas Filipinos are given the means to register and vote, the CFO upholds the principle that distance should not diminish representation. On the other hand, COMELEC Chairman George Erwin M. Garcia pointed out that the broader role of Filipinos abroad in nation building. He noted that overseas Filipinos must be convinced that their participation is vital, emphasizing that nation building is not confined to those physically present in the country but is an enduring obligation of every Filipino citizen. Alongside the CFO COMELEC agreement, the ceremony also witnessed the signing of parallel MOAs between COMELEC and the Department of Foreign Affairs and Manila Economic and Cultural Office or MECO. These additional agreements further strengthen the whole of government approach to expanding registration venues for overseas voting. Through the signing of the MOA, Secretary Ang and USEC Maria Arlene S. Borja expressed the CFO's strong support to COMELEC in implementing overseas voters registration, while also affirming the agency's commitment to keeping overseas Filipinos engaged in the nation's democratic future.
On the other hand, U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines Mary Kay Carlson underscored America's enduring commitment to the Philippines during the Friends, Partners, Allies reception hosted by the U.S. Embassy on September 11, 2025 at the Makati Shangri-La. The Commission on Filipinos Overseas was among the invited agencies representing the Philippine government. Carlson noted that in July, the United States committed $63 million, over 3 billion pesos, in new foreign assistance aimed at supporting energy security, combating illegal fishing in the West Philippine Sea, and encouraging private sector investment in the Luzon Economic Corridor. She explained that these actions, which coincided with President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s successful July visit to Washington, the first by an ASEAN leader, reflect America's continuing commitment to the Philippines. She added that the people-to-people ties between the two countries remain at the heart of the relationship. The ambassador also emphasized the role of education and cultural exchange in further strengthening bilateral relations. She pointed out that the bilateral Fulbright Commission, known as the Philippine-American Educational Foundation, has empowered thousands of Americans and Filipinos to build bridges through education, research, and and cultural exchange. She further remarked that beyond these programs, the U.S.-Philippine relationship is deeply enriched by the more than 4 million Filipinos and Filipino Americans residing in the United States, as well as the over 750,000 Americans who live in the Philippines. Looking ahead to 2026, she highlighted that the two nations will commemorate 80 years of diplomatic relations in the 75th anniversary of the Mutual Defense Treaty. The reception brought together Philippine government officials, business leaders, civil society representatives, and diplomatic partners to celebrate the robust and multifaceted alliance between the two nations.
In other news, the Commission on Filipinos Overseas conducted a training session to strengthen the capacity of technical staff from partner local government units in the Bicol region on the use of the customization of the updated eGov-compliant Balinkbayan websites. CFO Secretary Dante Clinkang II explained that the platform highlights the services relevant to overseas Filipinos, including employment opportunities, investment options, and trading resources. He noted that Naga City was the first LGU in Bicol to adopt a localized version of the Balinkbayan website in 2014. Initiated by the CFO, the Balinkbayan project serves as an online bridge connecting overseas Filipino communities with their home provinces and municipalities, promoting social and economic development. The agency now counts 57 LGU partners nationwide. Ang expressed optimism that the LGUs will adopt the program, stressing that overseas Filipinos are vital partners in local and national development. He cited the 10.7 million Filipinos abroad, 62% of whom are classified as permanent and long-term migrants, as significant contributors to the country's economy through remittances. He also pointed out that the CFO provides services for prospective migrants such as pre-departure and peer counseling seminars, believing that the success of Filipinos abroad ultimately benefits the nation. During the Legazpi training,
That's right, partner. During the Legazpi training, he emphasized that the purpose of the visit was to deepen collaboration with LGU partners to strengthen linkages with overseas communities. In Bicol, partner LGUs under the BLB project include the cities of Naga, Masbate, Legazpi, Sorsogon, Tabaco, Ligao, and Iriga, the towns of Ginobatan in Albay and Mercedes in Camarines Norte, as well as the provincial governments of Sorsogon and Camarines Norte are also part of the initiative.
Alamin ang mga serbisyong inihahatid ng Commission on Filipinos Overseas. Serbisyong CFO. Dito lamang sa Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Ngayong araw, kasama natin si Ginoong Robert Pagia mula sa DICT International Cooperation on Cybercrime Division upang talakayin ang kanilang mandato at mga hakbang laban sa cybercrime na naapektuhan ang ating mga kababayang Pilipino sa ibang bansa.
Sa ating mga listeners and viewers, iniimbitahan po namin kayo na magkomento lamang po sa aming Facebook live pages at amin po itong babasahin sa ating pong live special guest. Tayo po ngayon ay napapanood sa Facebook Live ng Commission on Filipinos Overseas at Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Ayun, so upang bigyan tayo ng mas malinaw na paliwanag ukol sa mga hakbang ng pamahalaan laban sa cybercrime na naaapektuhan ng ating mga kababayan sa ibang bansa, kasama natin ngayong umaga ang ating espesyal na panauhin. Let's welcome Mr. Robert Pagia, Division Chief ng International Cooperation on Cybercrime Division ng Department of Information and Communications Technology. Magandang umaga po at welcome sa serbisyong CFO sa Bagong Pilipinas, Sir Robert.
Good morning po, Sir Robert.
Ayun, may audio ba tayo? Parang medyo mahina ang dating ni Sir Robert. Ayun, hello po, Sir Robert. Ayun, so nagkakaroon lang po tayo ng kaunting technical difficulties po sa ating interviewee. Pero partner, pag-usapan muna natin na kung gaano ka-importante ang topic na ito, kung bakit natin kailangan malaman kung ano nga ba ang mga frauds and scams na dapat dapat tignan ng ating mga kababayan, lalo na yung mga nasa abroad?
Ayun nga partner, lalo na ngayon, yung pamamaraan ng pang-i-scam ay nag-e-evolve. Gumagamit na ng mga iba't ibang mga paraan. Gamit din syempre ang teknolohiya. Kaya maganda rin na kasama nga natin ngayon dito yung ating panauhin para ma-discuss yung mga ginagawa at mga alituntunin sa DICT para proteksyonan yung ating mga kababayan laban sa mga scams na ito.
Marami akong gustong malaman, partner, kasi ngayon iba-iba na yung mga scams at frauds online. So, kung dati meron lamang yung mga tumatawag lang, ngayon pati ang Viber, pati ang iba pang mga messaging platforms, napapasok na rin ang mga frauds and scams. So, mas maganda na mapag-usapan natin ito maya-maya lamang. Pagkasama na po natin si Sir Robert.
Good morning.
Ayun, Sir Robert,
magandang umaga po.
Magandang umaga, RK, at sa iyong kasama. Pasensya na, medyo nagkaroon lang ng problem dito sa side namin.
No problem.
Wala pong problema, sir.
Kasama ko ngayon si Attorney JK Magrasya po ng CFO din, Sir Robert.
Attorney JK, good morning.
Opo. Sir, magandang umaga po. Siguro sir, bago po tayo magsimula, maganda siguro mapakilala nyo muna ang sarili nyo sa ating mga tagapanood at tagapakinig. At of course, yung trabaho ninyo po sa DICT po.
Okay, salamat Attorney at saka RK. Actually, isang konting paglilinaw lang. Ako po ay isang Division Chief dito po sa Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center. Ang CICC po ay isang attached agency po ng Department of Information and Communications Technology. So, hindi po kami sa DICT, attached agency po kami ng DICT. Opo, sa separate entity po kami. So, bilang hepe nga po ng International Cooperation on Cybercrime Division, ako po syempre ang nagtataguyod po ng ating mga partnerships, ng mga collaborations po with other international organizations na lumalaban din po sa mga cybercrimes. Kasi nga po talagang alam natin, ngayon po ay talamak na po talaga ang mga cybercrimes, yung po mga krimen na ginagawa sa pamamagitan po ng mga computers and other computer-related devices. So talaga po ang Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center po ay pinag-iigting po ang amin pong mga kakayahan upang malabanan nga po itong mga ating mga cybercrimes po.
Oo, ayun, sir. Ngayon, nabanggit mo yung mga iba't ibang mga online scams at fraud. Ano po ang mga karaniwang uri ng online scams na nararanasan ng ating mga kababayan, lalo na yung mga nagtatrabaho at naninirahan abroad?
Well, ang mga prevalent ngayon, RK, tsaka attorney, is yung mga tinatawag nating mga phishing scams. However, ito kasing phishing scam, dati, ito ay ginagawa lamang ng mga scammers sa pamamagitan ng pagpapadala ng email. At itong email po na to ay meron po tayong link na dapat i-click. At yun nga po yung talagang magkakaroon ng cost na makolekta po ang ating mga personal na impormasyon. Ngunit sa katotohanan ngayon, RK tsaka attorney, ay nag-evolve na po itong mga phishing scams natin kasi meron na rin tayong tinatawag ngayon na smishing at saka yung phishing scams. Yung smishing po ay nako-commit po ito sa pagpapadala po ng mga text messages sa ating mga cellphones, sa ating mga mobile phones. At ganun din po, meron din po itong link na ipapadala na kasama po doon sa mga text na pag kinlink nga po natin to ay madre-redirect tayo sa isang scam na website at yun nga po makokolekta ang mga personal na impormasyon kasama na po ang ating mga sensitibong personal na impormasyon. Ngayon po, ang pinaka talagang bago ngayon ay yung tinatawag nating voice phishing or yung pong pag-fish po sa pamamagitan po ng mga voice calls. So, paano po natin ito malalaman? Ito po ay pagka po tinawagan tayo na mayroon pong sense of urgency or minamadali po tayo na sasabihin na compromise ang iyong account, ang iyong bank account, ang iyong mga SSS, GSIS account, and other social media accounts. So, may ipapadala ako sa yung link at kailangan mo din itong i-click. So, yun po ngayon, phishing, smishing, at saka vishing po.
Sorry, Sir Robert, gusto ko lang malaman sana kung ano yung main difference ng phishing at smishing. Kasi familiar na po ako sa phishing. Ano po ang kaibahan nito sa smishing?
Ang kaibahan nito, RK, nga is yung sa manner ng pagpapadala. Kasi yung phishing, usually ito po ay sa pamamagitan ng email. Opo, so
Okay.
meron tayong matatanggap na allegedly, na email nga na allegedly galing sa isang institusyon, pwedeng bangko, pwedeng SSS, pwedeng GSIS, o iba pang mga social media platforms. At yun nga po, may kaakiba to or may kasama to na link na dapat po nating i-click. On the other hand, ang smishing naman po ay committed through text or short messaging text. Opo, so yun po yung basically na pagkakaiba, pero pareho po ang nilalaman na meron po siyang link na dapat po nating i-click na pagka nga i-click natin to ay makukolekta na ang ating mga personal na impormasyon.
Ayun sir, na-define na natin yung pagkakaiba ng dalawa, no? Ako lang sir, may tanong lang ako. Kasi sa mga emails kasi natin, may mga protection na rin or securities yung emails natin na nagsasabi na this might be a spam message, ganon, nag-warn. How about naman sir sa sa mga SMS? Ano po yung mga naging mekanismo natin na ginagawa para maproteksyonan naman po ang ating mga kababayan dito tsaka sa abroad din, patungkol naman dun sa mga ganong paraan via SMS naman po sir?
Maraming salamat po, attorney. Dito rin po sa ating mga text ngayon, talagang kasi medyo high-end na rin yung mga telepono rin natin ngayon, mga mobile phones natin. So meron na rin po ngayong mga messages na na-identify siya as pwedeng ay spam daw. So ibig sabihin from our mobile phone service provider mismo, kunyari Smart Globe or dito, meron na silang mga filtering na tools na rin na ginagamit na sasabihin, pwedeng ito ay spam message, pwedeng smishing message po ito, at tayo po mismo ang magde-decide kung ito nga po ay magiging spam message. Like, for example, dapat talaga maging mapanuri tayo kasi meron po tayong mga allegedly matatanggap po sa Globe or sa Smart or sa dito na sasabihin meron tayong mga expiring points.
Yes.
Pero alam naman natin na hindi tayo nagsusubscribe sa mga promo ng mga telcos. So, paano tayo ipon ng mga expiring points? So, pagka ganun po, medyo, yun nga, isipin natin, meron ba tayong sinalihan na promo? Meron ba tayong sinalihan ng mga pa-contest ng mga telcos para nga makakuha tayo ng expiring points? Kung hindi man at wala man, talagang yun nga, i-flag down natin kagad yun ng mga text, mga spam messages to or spam text to. Pero aside from that nga, meron din mismo mga tools na rin mismo mga service providers na sasabihin baka ito ay spam or smishing text.
Ayun, so Sir Robert, maraming salamat dyan. Ngayon naman pumunta naman tayo sa topic ng social media at online platforms. Kanina napahapyawan na natin ito, pero gusto ko po sana malaman kung paano ito nakakaapekto, especially ang social media at online platforms, sa pagkalat ng panloloko sa ating mga kababayan. Maaari po ba kayong magbigay ng mga halimbawa?
Yes, RK. Ang mga hackers ngayon ay dahil nga masyado na silang talagang magaling or masyadong halos lahat ng mga platforms ginagamit na nila. At dahil nga alam natin na ang mga Pilipino ay mahilig sa paggamit ng mga social media accounts, ang Facebook, ang LinkedIn, ang Instagram, ang even TikTok, dito nga sila ngayon mga nagpapadala ng mga link. Like for example, ako mismo, ang dami ko natatanggap na nag-o-offer ng trabaho daw. Sasabihin, sir, pwede po ba kayo magtrabaho sa amin? Ganito po ang kikitain namin sa ninyo sa isang linggo, pwedeng 3,000 a week, mga 3,000 a day, mga ganyan. So yun nga po, talagang tinitingnan namin yun na kung talagang lehitimo ba yung mga offers na yan. Kaya lang po, pagka po kasi sinasabi nga nila, if the offer is too good to be true, medyo mag-ingat po tayo, maging mapagmatsyag tayo na yan po ay hindi po talaga yan totoong mga offers po. Sabi nga po nila, pag may mga offers daw po